So this is the blueprint to your success. Now I want you to take a moment to just imagine what your life would be like when everything starts working out for you. When you start getting the big breakthrough that you've been waiting for. The money starts flowing in, the physique is coming, all your work in the gym is just showing up, everything is just working out. And that is what it means to succeed. And I know for a fact that with the right blueprint and systems, you're just a few more locked in months from achieving your dream life. And I'm making this video because I've made this transformation for myself. I went from a place of just being somebody that I didn't want to be. I would play video games for 7-8 hours every single day. I had these visions, but I was doing nothing at all to achieve them. I was lazy. I would doom scroll my phone for hours and hours and hours. And it just made me miserable. And I truly understand what it feels like to be stuck, to feel like you're behind, to feel like consistency and discipline and focus are just so hard to achieve. And that is why I've dedicated the last 4 years of my life working on discipline, consistency, and focus so I can help others do the exact same. So there's a 5-step system that myself and many others use to achieve lasting success. Step number 1, reprogram the mind, otherwise known as identity shifting. Now there's a quote that goes like this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. Before any type of success comes reprogramming, rewiring your identity, your self-image, and your mind. Now most people ask the same question: how do I stay motivated? But instead of that, you need to ask yourself, what type of person do I have to become in order to always be motivated? Who would I be if I never quit? You need to change the self-image and not the to-do list. The to-do list, it comes and it goes. The goals, they change, but the identity always remains the same. I talk about this topic a lot, and that is because it is so powerful. In the self-improvement space, one of the most high-leveraged tasks that you can do is work on your self-image. Because when your identity aligns with discipline, then action becomes automatic. So the goal here is to detach on your past identity and everything that's been holding you back so you can finally make this shift and become the person that is always consistent and always disciplined. It is almost like playing a video game where you can choose your character and make him exactly the way you want him to be. You can pick and choose from the best of everything and almost like form this character, this identity. And that is exactly what you can do with yourself. You can almost pick and choose from all the best characteristics that you like and reinforce your new identity with those things. So reprogramming your mind and shifting your identity is one of the most powerful things, but it goes hand in hand with this next step I'm about to tell you. And that's step number 2. Master your dopamine. And this is all about controlling the system. Now there's a quote that goes like this: if you can't control what feels good, then you can't control your future. I mean, your brain is just wired for comfort, survival, and anything that just feels familiar. And the problem with that is the things that we're addicted to and our brain is hardwired to, things like scrolling, things like eating junk food, playing video games, watching entertainment and just consuming things that aren't gonna get us to the next step. All of these things are wired into our minds, and it's gonna feel like painful to just get out of this cycle. It's gonna feel like you're almost resisting something. And that's because you are resisting your old identity and your dopamine. When you want to replace bad habits with good habits, at the beginning, there's something that I like to call the purging phase. This is where your identity and your dopamine is still hooked to the old things you used to do, so that when you try to do new things, you still feel this push, this resistance. You don't want to do you don't want to read, you don't want to journal, you don't want to go for a run, but in your mind, your brain is still craving the dopamine, the scrolling, the endless, meaningless entertainment and junk food and all these dopamine habits. Now, there's a perfect way in which you can rewire your dopamine, and it goes along the lines of this. You need to attach your dopamine to progress instead of pleasure. Right now, if you're struggling with consistency and focus and perhaps discipline, chances are your dopamine is attached to pleasure and not progress. You get the dopamine spikes from doing things that make you feel good, instead of getting the dopamine spike from doing things that make you better. There is a difference. Most people make the bad habits their reward, and it's hard to beat a system that works against you. So instead, you need to shift your perspective and build a system that works for you. If there is a river, you're always gonna struggle if you're swimming against the current. But if you swim with the current, you're gonna get go twice as fast. Now your goal in this step is to reassociate pleasure and feeling good with consistency and discipline. If you reassociate pleasure with effort so that consistency feels good and automatic and natural, instead of feeling forced and miserable, that is when you win. Now, step number 3 is all about engineering discipline. Now, what I mean here is systemizing your day, creating a system for absolutely everything. Now, there's a quote that I really love to start off this step, and it goes like this: motivation gets you started, but systems make you unstoppable. Now, you see, that is where most people fail. They rely on emotions, they rely on inconsistencies. But the future version of yourself that is where you want to be, that has the things you want, that version of you relies on structures and systems and blueprints and design. While others rely on emotion, you rely on design. Build automation around discipline. We're talking about fixed routines, accountability systems, a community of like-minded members, and an identity that never fails you. Now, here's the thing that most people get wrong. You don't need to feel like doing it if your system ensures that you do. So one of the best ways to automate your life and create a system that never fails you is to write it down, to have something in front of you, to create visual cues and triggers that remind you of where you're gonna go. Because sometimes we just forget. Sometimes, things just come and things happen and life happens and you forget about it. And I found the best way to do this, to create a system, is using a whiteboard. And this whiteboard, I keep it right in front of me, in front of my face, where I can see it. Because chances are, if you write something on your phone, if you write down notes or a plan on your phone, you're probably gonna forget it. And the same thing with your journal. If you write down a plan on your journal, you're probably gonna flip over the page and it's gonna get buried in your notebook and you're just gonna forget it was there. But something like a whiteboard right in front of your face is the best thing you can do. So our goal here is to build a daily structure that makes discipline effortless, that makes the good habits so easy to do and the bad habits so hard to do. The goal is to make failure inconvenient and success inevitable. Now, you can do that in many ways. I do offer all of the resources that you need for consistency, discipline, and focus in my private community, linked in the description below. Don't get off the video just yet. Watch till the end and then click on the link in the description. Now, the second most important step of this entire video is step number 4, eliminate resistance. Now, here we're going to be talking about the minimal friction framework. Now, a quote to help you understand the objective goes along the lines of this: every obstacle between you and action must be removed or re-engineered. Now, it's not just about adding new habits and overwhelming yourself. It is about removing and subtracting friction and resistance. Most people complain about why they aren't disciplined or why they're inconsistent, but the real truth of the matter is they have an environment that sabotages them. Now, people complain about why they can't go to the gym consistently, but when you look at their lives and what they're doing, in order to go to the gym, they need to go to another room, they need to get their gym clothes, and then they need to come back and fill up the water and find where their shoes are from last time and get all the equipment in the bag and then think about going to the gym and then go take the car and drive 30 minutes to the gym. And by the time you're there, it's just too complicated. It's too complex that you just need one bad day and you're gonna break your routine. And that's why I always advocate for removing friction in your life. As long as you can make things easy, make things sustainable, that is when you win. However complex your system is however many times you're gonna fail in the future. All it takes is one day where you just fed up, you don't see results, you're in your head, you're overthinking, and it just takes that to just throw away all your routines and throw away all of your good habits and just go back to the bad habits, binge, relapse, and destroy your systems. But all of this can be easily avoided if you just simplify your inputs, your decision-making process, and make things easy. It is all about removing the chaos that keeps your brain in survival mode. Because when your path is frictionless, momentum compounds, and we're playing a game of momentum. As you may know, we have an upward spiral and we have a downward spiral. Now, the upward spiral is when you start to get on the path of self-improvement. You start to pick up a journal and plan your life and pick up good habits. You start reading, you start journaling, you start going to the gym, and it's just going perfectly. And because it's going perfectly, you want to do more of the good things. You want to be more productive. And now your dopamine is tied to progress, and you just keep getting better and better and better, and it just keeps going uphill from there. And this could happen in the exact opposite direction. One day you just feel bad, because that's what happens, you know. You have days where you feel bad, days where you feel good, and you just have one bad day. And because of that, you need to escape. So what you do is you go back to an old habit, you do it, and then you make yourself feel worse about it. And because you slipped up, because you binged or relapsed or whatever, it makes you feel even worse. And because you feel even worse, you feel obliged to just throw away everything and just slip up. And it's like the all or nothing mentality. Because you played video games, you might as well go and eat junk food. And because you did that, you might as well skip the gym. And because you did that, you might as well not read and scroll your phone and go do something. You know, it's just a cycle. So the goal is to make action the easiest option in your environment. To set yourself up and your environment up to the point where you don't need extra motivation because your environment motivates you enough. You don't need these fancy productivity systems. You just need to just tell yourself, you know, this is who I am. Like, this is my identity, and like, I'm already having and seeing this progress, so I might as well continue. That is the point where you're just set up. Now, the most important step of this whole entire video is step number 5. Execute relentlessly. Now, this comes back to the relentless consistency principle. It reminds me of this quote that goes like this: it's not about doing more, it's about never stopping. Now, the problem is most people, they think that they need to go from 0 to 100 in such a fast time frame. But that's not true. You need consistent days over your lifetime. Consistency beats intensity every single time. If you go to the gym for 30 minutes every session, and let's say you go 4 times a week, that's always going to be better in the long run than training once a week for 3 hours. It's not about having big bouts of inspiration and motivation where you do everything and then you do so much that you get burnt out, you get tired and exhausted. It doesn't even matter. You don't need perfect days. You just need non-negotiable action and momentum. Because success isn't random. Success is something you can see as momentum multiplied by time. If you give yourself enough forward momentum over a long enough time, then you can see results with anything. You can see success with yourself, with your habits, with your life, with discipline, with anything. And it goes back to just doing the things you have to do, no matter how you feel. It doesn't matter if it's raining outside. It doesn't matter if you don't necessarily feel like doing it. You have a system, you have a blueprint, and no need to think any further than that. You just do what you have to do. And that is exactly where transformation happens. It happens where you just do the things you have to do. You follow a system, you follow a plan. You don't have to worry about results, because you know as long as you follow your blueprint, you're gonna get there. It's just a matter of time. Your goal is to build so much momentum that it's gonna be impossible to stop. Now imagine a truck that is so heavy and it's going so fast. In order for this truck to stop, in comparison with a lighter car, the truck is gonna need so much more time and brakes and effort and energy to come to a full stop. And that is why momentum is important. Because when you build enough momentum on your path to success, whether it be building your business, working on your mindset, developing the discipline that is required to improve your business and your mindset, all of this comes back to having enough momentum so that you're so close to your goal that stopping right now would be a waste. It would be more effort and more energy to go back to your initial starting point than to just go that extra mile, than to just go a little bit further and continue. So the blueprint to your success comes back to these 5 things. Reprogram the mind, master dopamine, engineer discipline, eliminate resistance, and execute relentlessly. Now each layer stacks on top of the other. Everything compounds. You probably heard of the compounding effect. Now everything compounds. Nothing is lost. If you spend 5 hours reading a book that is going to make you a better person, those 5 hours are saved and they're stacked onto other things to just make you the best you can be. Every single hour and day you spend not doing the bad habits, doing the good habits, focusing on your work, focusing on your business, on making money, on your health, your wealth, your relationships, that is time that can never be lost. You're building a skill. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to ride a bicycle, you can never forget it, even if you tried your best. You can't forget how to ride a bicycle once you learned how. And that's the same with success. A self-made millionaire, you can take away all of their money, and within a year, they're gonna get back to where they were. Because they have the systems, they have the blueprint, and they have the identity. Now, once you reprogram your identity, you engineer systems, and you control your dopamine, then discipline becomes the default. All of this brings you to the point where even if you tried your hardest, you cannot fail. Even if you tried your best, you can't go back to your old ways, because it is so set in stone that there is no way to reverse it. Now, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to learn how you can become unrecognizable in 180 days, then watch this video over here.